Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for Bates Motel Season 3, Episode 4, Unbreakable. And oh my god, this episode was crazy. It really was. However, next week's episode looks even crazier. And I am just, as I told you guys, I'm loving this season. And this was by far the best episode of the season. Like, by far. And one of the things I love about this episode is that all of the storylines came together in this episode. And we're definitely getting into a very, very crazy second half of the season. I can already tell the second half of this season is gonna be fucking insane. Let's get in this episode because it was amazing. So Norman's in bed, he's calling for Norma, and he then gets up and is walking through the hallways, and Norma's not in her bed, and the police are outside, and there's Annika's body on the ground, and Norma's in the office, and a paramedic is taking her blood pressure because she passed out beside Annika when she died in her arms, and that's pretty crazy. So Norman shows up at the scene and asks Norma if he did kill her, and Norma tries to calm him down, and Dylan walks up, and Norma tells him to take Norman into the house because he's very upset and shouldn't see this, and Norma's then speaking to, probably because, she just knows how crazy Norman is, and that's why she doesn't really want him to see it. So, Norma's then speaking to Romero, and she tells Romero how Annika drove up and was already shot, and she died in her arms, and Norma says she has never seen the car before that, and Annika then, the car that Annika drove up in, and Romero asks what was wrong with Norman when he showed up at the scene. And Norma says that there was nothing wrong with Norm, that he was just having a normal reaction to seeing a guest of theirs dead on the ground in front of the motel. But clearly, there was more going on there. I mean, he thought that he killed Annika and everything, and Romero doesn't seem to get it. Why would Annika make the effort to drive to the motel after she had been shot? Honestly, I can understand his point. Why would she have done that? That's the one question that still has yet to be answered. Like, why would she just show up at the hotel for no reason whatsoever after she had just been shot? It really does not make any sense. So Norma goes to check on Norman, who's resting in bed, and Dylan asks what is wrong with him. And of course, Dylan has no idea what's going on. I like that Dylan's back in this episode because he's been so separated from Norma and Norman that it was really cool that he got back up to speed about what's actually going on with Norman. Because he had to eventually come back into the story. So basically, Norma says that Norman's having a bad episode, and Norman says he blacked out, and then Annika is dead. And Norma tries to reassure Norman that he did nothing, and he's not responsible for Annika's death. And you can see that even though Norman knows that he didn't do it, he still thinks that he killed Annika. And in her room, Norma is changing. She pulls the flash drive that Annika gave her out of her bra. She goes to her computer, only to find out that she needs a password to access the files in the flash drive. And I thought that was really interesting when we found that out. Because, of course, how can she see what's on this flash drive if she needs a password? That's obviously not good. So the next morning, Norman asks Norma if she knows why Annika was trying to return to the motel, and Norman confesses that he spoke to Annika about how good a mother Norma was, and that she and he were really close, and she was really cool and everything. And Norman then asks Norma if she still likes him, and he thinks things are. And I like that he asked her that question because recently Norma's been acting very strange around Norman. I mean, there is the fact that he's becoming a psychopath, but other than that, she's been acting very strange around him, and I like that he asked her that question. And he thinks things are different for them since Dylan moved in, and Norma reassures him that things are the same between them. Then he goes back to making breakfast, and Norma's all dressed up. She's at the coffee shop, and she approaches a young man and asks him if he can help her with her flash drive. And by the way, that question that Norman asks makes no sense whatsoever, because of course, as we know, Dylan and Norma don't exactly get along very well. We do know that they are closer now, but they still don't get along very well, so why would Norman ask her that question? I think it's just because, maybe it's just because of how crazy he's becoming. I really don't know. So, Norma's all dressed up. She goes to a coffee shop and she approaches a young man who who asks him for if he can help her with her flash drive that is password protected, which belonged to her mother who passed away. And the guy tries to access the files and tells her it's a really good program and he can't override it. And he looks a little surprised. Then she claims this drive belonged to her mother, and I thought that was really interesting that she said that because, of course, it's Annika's and she can't say everything that's really going on. So Romero then finds out some very interesting information. He finds out that Annika was shot 20 minutes before she showed up at the motel and the car she was driving, which belonged to the other girl that was found dead in the title marshes, that girl's Lyndsey, the other girl, Lyndsey. And of course, I pretty much suspected that these two were somehow connected. We find out more of what's going on there a little bit later, but I found that to be very interesting. So Caleb's loading his truck, when notices Norma putting in gas in her car. He ducks out of sight so she can't see him, and we really focus more on Caleb and Dylan, which I really like seeing because, of course, Caleb doesn't want Norma to know that he's back in Dylan's life. He knows it's going to ruin Norma, and Norma's going to be pissed about it because she wants nothing to do with Caleb, so it's not going to end well for anyone. And I thought overall that was really well done that we focused more on that in this episode. So then we see Norma is, oh wait, where was, okay, so Emma's studying with Norman. He's having a hard time staying focused, though, and Norman tells her that Annika's death is bad for business, and Emma suggests they go away for a bit for a change of pace, and Norman sees his mother walk into Grabs, and Emma, she walks in, and he kisses Emma for a very long and passionate kiss, and I thought that was a very interesting scene when we saw that. So Romero goes to see Bob, and as I said before, I love Emma and Norman together, but again, you see that they can't really be together, and it's really creepy that Norma's spying on them. I thought it was, I really didn't know what was going on there, but that was interesting. So Romero goes to see Bob, and he tells him that he wants to talk to him in a more formal setting because the two dead girls were connected to his club, the Arcanum Club. And Bob asks if the dead girl had anything on her, and Romero wants to know what he is talking about, but Bob doesn't tell anyone what he's talking about. He doesn't say anything besides that, so he basically got no new information except that they're connected to his club, and I thought that was really, that's not good, because that's all the information he got, and that's all that Bob wants to tell him. Like, come on, Bob, give us some more answers. We're as lost as Romero is on this, so I need more answers in this. I like that, it's intriguing, but come on, give me some more answers, seriously. So Norma's at the library in the computer code section and meets up with her teacher, James, who's surprised to find her there. She says it is because she wants to know what her son is doing on the computer. They go out for coffee, and Norma starts talking about Norman, and she talks about how things are really different now with him. She doesn't trust him as much and makes her feel really lonely, and Norma starts crying and says she's being stupid, which she's really not. I mean, I can totally understand her point. Norman's been acting very differently since they moved and since they left and everything, since things changed between them. I mean, he has been acting very differently, so I can totally understand that. I mean, you can definitely see this season that the relationship between the two is definitely changing, in the fact that it's not a good thing that's changing either. It's not a good change, it's a bad change, and you can definitely tell that they're going on a very bad path. So I like seeing that. So Norma drives up to the motel and finds Romero in Annika's room going through her things, and he then asks Norma if Annika had anything on her. And Norma says she doesn't know. How is she supposed to know, really? I mean, she didn't pay much attention to that. So Norma leaves him and says she's going to make dinner, and Romero asks her why she's lying to him, and she asks why he's lying to her. And Romero says it's his job not to reveal anything, and she says he gets a gold star because he's not revealing anything. And Norma then arrives in the kitchen, and Norman's cooking for a picnic tomorrow, and Norma tells him that she would have been delighted to go, but she's busy, and Norman's quick to tell Norma that the picnic was not for her, it was for Emma, and Norma looks really disappointed, and I'm just thinking, Norma was okay with those two getting together, now she's upset about it, and Norma starts to bang pots and pans, and Norman asks her what's wrong, and Norma tells him that that is what he's doing is wrong, and he's using Emma. She thinks that he's using Emma to get back at her because of some of the childish nonsense, like she likes Dylan more than him. That's not what he's doing. He is with Emma just because he randomly decided to. And Norma then tells Norman that he can't sleep with Emma. She's ill, and if he does, she will kick his ass to the moon and back, and this is what's crazy about this, is the fact that she was okay with letting them date, and now she's telling him something completely different. I don't really understand this. Really, I don't. I mean, she was okay with letting them date, and now she's telling him you can't have sex with Emma. Like, what? I don't get that. Norman gets up to leave and tells Norma that she doesn't need to explain that to him, and he knew that, and I just thought that was a really crazy scene overall. I mean, really, that kind of just came out of nowhere, but I still really enjoyed it. It just was pretty crazy. So we then see Norma goes to see Dylan. She shows him the flash drive that Annika gave her before she died. She goes on to tell him that she thinks it's really important, and Romero is looking for it, and Dylan tells her that not to tell anyone else because it could be really dangerous, and Norma says she won't tell anyone, and she realizes that's the same thing, and this is why she didn't tell Norman. And meanwhile, Norman has his bedroom lightly opened, and he's hearing the whole conversation, literally the whole conversation. He knows exactly what's going on, and Norman and Emma are out walking in the woods for their picnic, and Emma sees a cabin and suggests they go check it out, and once inside, they find that it's deserted. So Romero's then interviewing a girl who knew the two dead girls. She didn't know they were both murdered, and she tells Romero that Lyndsey... Now, this I was very interested in, because I was very interested in seeing how these two are connected, and we start to find out more here. We find out that Lyndsey was seeing Bob and making a lot of money, and once asked her to do a threesome with Annika, but she had other plans and couldn't do it. So she says that Lyndsey started to get a taste for lifestyle, but that she couldn't afford it, and she got the feeling that she was really pissed at Bob. Furthermore, it was Annika who stepped in for her to do the threesome with Bob, so that's how these two are connected. So you can definitely tell these two are connected somehow. That's really all we know, though. We don't see anything more besides that, and I honestly would want one episode where they just reveal everything and they don't focus on anything else except that, because I think it honestly is a very interesting story, and I'm very interested in seeing where that goes. We'll see what happens there. So, Norm and Emma are at the cabin. They have built a fire and are talking, and Emma starts kissing Norman, putting the moves on him, and Norman tells Emma that they should stop, and he doesn't want to hurt her, and he tells Emma that Norman said they shouldn't have sex, and Emma's furious because I can understandable. I mean, that's like the worst excuse you could have for having sex is like, my mother didn't want me to do it. Like, Norman's a total mama's boy. I mean, we understand that. I understand that Norman's eventually gonna become a part of him, but he's a mama's boy. He really is. And she says it's insulting. She knows what's good, not good for her, and furthermore, she didn't think Norma was going to go on the date with them. And I like she said that because, honestly, yeah, he is being childish. He's being stupid, he's being childish, and it's really annoying to Emma. And I can understand why Emma's so annoyed by that. Totally, I can understand that. So Caleb's working in the garage. Dylan drives up and gives him shit for going into the city and risking Norma seeing him. And Caleb and Dylan get into a whole screaming match. But Caleb ends up falling off the roof and cutting open his hand. And Dylan wants to take him to the hospital. Which, yeah, I mean it's a pretty open cut. He needs stitches and things like that. But Caleb doesn't want to go to the hospital. And Dylan helps him up and tends to the cut on his hand. And Caleb starts talking about Norma and he tells Dylan that she meant the whole world to him, and he claims he loved her, and he hates himself for it. And, he wants to apologize to Norma, but he can't do that because he knows that Norma doesn't want him in her life right now. In his mind, he didn't rape her, and he wants to say sorry to her. That's really what it was, that he never realized that he was raping her. It never seemed like rape to him, but even though it was rape, and I like seeing that. It again shows how they're trying to humanize Caleb, and they're doing a very good job with doing that. That whole scene makes me care a lot more about Caleb and made me really like his character even more than I already did. So, Dylan goes back to the motel. He sees a car parked out front and some ransacking the office. He pulls his gun, finds some of Bob's guys in there, tells them that there is something of theirs that is missing. And Dylan tells them to leave, and if he ever sees them again, he will kill them. And I like as Bob's like, well, you're barely here, so I thought that was kind of funny. So Norman's in her room, still trying to access the drive, and Dylan storms into her room, tells her that they should throw out the drive because they don't know what's on it, they don't know the password, and I can understand what Dylan's saying, that who knows what's on it, and Norman walks in, asks what's going on. Norman won't give in. She tells Norman to stop acting like a child. Dylan's very upset. He wants the flash drive. Dylan leaves the room, goes to take his keys. Norman's there, asks why he's lying to him, and we get to the best scene of the episode here. Dylan tells him to stay out of it. It doesn't concern him, and Dylan leaves, and Norman follows Dylan. Dylan hides the flash drive inside the timer. Caleb walks in, looks a little strange. He has no idea what's going on. Dylan gives him a hug outside. Norman walks up and asks Dylan what the hell is going on, and Norman sees Caleb. He asks Dylan if this is what he and Norman were whispering about, and he asks if Norma knows about this, and Dylan tries to explain. Norman says he's not the one harboring Norma's rapist, and Norman realizes that Dylan and Caleb are working together, and Norman runs off. Dylan runs after him. Dylan's on top of Norman. Caleb tries to pull him off, and Dylan begs Norman not to tell Norma everything he has worked for will be destroyed, and it's such a sad scene here. Norman says that he already destroyed everything, and Norma deserves to know, and Dylan begs him one more time not to tell, but Norman gets up, drives away, and that's basically how the episode ends. So overall, I will say that not a lot happened this episode, but I still love this episode. I thought this was a great episode. And I'm very interested in seeing what's going to happen here. Is Norman going to tell Norma that Dylan and Caleb are working together? I don't know what's going to happen there. Emma and Norman, I think this is the first time we're seeing that their relationship clearly is not going to work. I've talked about this. Their relationship was never going to work, and we can already see that, no, it's not going to work between them. You can tell it's not, and as sad as it is, you can just tell that it's not going to work, and as much as Emma wants it to work, you can already tell that Norman doesn't really want it to work, and we'll see what happens there. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Let's talk about Romero and this whole Lyndsey situation. Lyndsey and Annika, we still don't know how they're connected. We know that they were involved in a threesome. I'm thinking maybe Bob killed Lyndsey and maybe shot Annika, because maybe that threesome happened before Annika, because she never gave a specific time when, the girl that told Romero was going on, she never said when that threesome was happening. So maybe that threesome happened moments before Annika was shot. It's a possibility. I don't really know exactly what's going on there, so I'm very interested in seeing what's actually happening there. I think it's very interesting, and I definitely want to know what else is going on. But overall, guys, another really solid episode. I've really been enjoying this season. I think this has been a great season. I love that Dylan is now connected, but the next episode looks crazy. Like, the next episode looks like Norman's finally going to go fully psycho, because, I mean, we even see a scene where Norman's, like, trying on a dress, and it looks fucking insane, but it honestly looks like an amazing episode. I can't wait for next week's episode. I know it's going to be amazing. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. That's my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for Better Call Saul. So I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.